Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to start the webinar in about 30 seconds. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody, to the SIS Customer Education Series. Our webinar today is going to be What's New in Dynamics SL 2018 version CU1. And before we go ahead and move into the CU1, we'd like to introduce ourselves as the host of this webinar, SIS. We were founded in 1996. Our headquarters are in Duluth, Georgia, which is just outside of Atlanta. And SIS delivers business solutions that help project and service-driven companies unify business processes and applications across the enterprise, delivering better visibility and efficiency. At SIS, we are full service. We offer to our customers current state assessments, which will lead to business process analysis. We also will do software design, development, and deployment. We handle both ERP, which is accounting software like Dynamics SL, and CRM implementations. We also can handle any type of fit gap analysis to help determine where you are and where you need to go. Custom application development, rapid deployments for hub and spoke rollouts for larger companies or for smaller companies, and both on-premise or cloud deployments. Why choose SIS? We are a Microsoft Gold certified partner, over 20 years of experience servicing Dynamics SL customers. We have dedicated support and customer care team members that are full-time just for customer care. We are an experienced partner, and we have a very experienced consulting and development team who's been working individually with Dynamics SL many, many years. We understand your industry best practices. We understand how to make the software work for your specific type of company, and we know how to bridge the gap between business and technology. We also have a very broad industry-focused solution offering that has been developed by SIS for Dynamics SL, Dynamics CRM, Dynamics 365, and Microsoft SharePoint for project and service-based businesses. Our focus is your industry, not just technology. So my name is Dan Franklin. I work at SIS as a solutions architect, and I'm going to turn this over to Jeff Suin from Microsoft, who's going to show everybody what's new in Microsoft Dynamics SL version 2018 CU1. Go ahead and take it from here, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Dan, and thank you very much, everyone, for taking time out of your busy days in this holiday season to learn about what's just happened with SLCU1. So the session agenda today, I'm first going to just jump right into CU1. We'll talk about technology updates, some flow updates, and some feature updates, and then we'll get back into it. So if you haven't heard the information about SL 2018, we will take some time to kind of give you the overarching information on SL 2018, but just in case you haven't heard it before. So again, we'll start off with CU1, and then we'll go back into what's the whole 2018 forecast and what's coming out with 2018. All right, so the first thing to note is SL 2018 CU1 is available. So that's the first question. No, you've been talking about it. And the big thing is that it is available now to download. So if you can contact your SIS customer service person or your consultant that you work with, or Dan and team, you can download that and get it installed. And you can work with your SIS team to set up time to deploy this to your system. So originally, you've heard me talk about a lot of different features probably over the past year or so that we're going to have in 2018. And actually, 2018 CU1 turned out to be more of a technology update than all the features that Jeff wanted. The reason being is there were a lot of security items that we had to address based on best practices here at Microsoft and things that we had to address with the CU1 update. Just Happened to be perfect timing for that. But there are a lot of things that we had to address. Not that there's any issues, but just standard protocol with Microsoft. As things get older, they go ahead and shore up what needs to be enabled in products, what needs to be shored up, and what needs to be changed. So one of the first things that we listed here, this is a little bit of security things, so definitely have your technical people speak to SIS about how this impacts you. But one of the things was the TLS security. We have upgraded so it now supports version 1.2. Out of the box, if you're in 2018 or 2015 or earlier, you're going to be, I think if I'm not mistaken, version 1 or earlier. We now support 1.2, which is a common request of people who are upgrading to the latest and greatest versions of SL, and they're running the latest and greatest versions of server and Windows and so forth. So this basically just adds some additional security to make sure that when you're connecting to SL, it does support the latest and greatest technology updates and security updates that you might be implementing at your company, and you won't run into any issues because we've implemented it and we've tested SL 2018 CU1 with this security level. The next one is a SQL update. So SQL has the ability to encrypt their data. And this TDE, or transparent data encryption, it basically performs real-time encryption and decryption of data and log files. So this is something that you as an end user are going to go, okay, this isn't really important to me. For your company, it's important. It means that if anybody happens to get into your SQL database, that the data will be secured so people cannot just open it up and start looking at it. Obviously, that's pretty important as well. Again, two things that is more towards your IT people, the TLS 1.2 and the TDE data encryption support. Again, what this means is that CU1, we've turned it on, so when you install CU1, these things can be turned on and we will support them, and you will have no issues with SL when you're running them. So those are the important things. So definitely contact your SIS person and also your admins at your company to let them know this is there. Also, SQL 2017. When SL 2018 came out towards the beginning of the year in the May timeframe, we had not gone through all of our complete testing of SQL 2017. So when it came out, we could not officially say SQL 2017 is supported by 2018. With the CU1 release, it has gone through all of the testing that we require to say that we support it. And so that means that if you're an SL 2018 CU1, you can upgrade to SQL 2017 knowing that you will be supported, no problems. Now, a couple notes that are listed here. One is everyone who is on SL 2018 or SL 2018 CU1 is upgraded to compatibility mode for SQL 2014. So this means that it can run on SQL 2017, but you will be in compatibility mode 2014. Know that if you need to upgrade it to be compatible with 2016 or 2017 or newer versions, you can do that as well. But out of the box, you will be set to 2014. The reason being is that SQL 2014 is the minimum requirements, and obviously we want to set it to that and not cause any problems. Again, a little technical, but I'd like to put that stuff out there in the front so we can get that out of the way, and then we can kind of talk about different things that we have out there. Now, the one thing I tried to do, we always try to do, especially with the CUs, is we try to make it so the CUs can be installed over top of existing. Those last three changes that we had to make technology-wise did change kind of our path. If you are in SL 2018 right now, the hope was that when CU1 came out, you could just simply install it over top of it. Because of those security updates, the two that we talked about, unfortunately, you are going to have to uninstall and reinstall the update. I want to, again, put that out there and make that clear. Our goal was not to do this. Our hope with CU2 is that we don't foresee currently right now any technology updates that we're going to have to make for CU2. So hopefully the idea is with CU2, you'll be able to layer it over top of your current 2018 CU1 installation and go forward. But again, if you're in 2018 right now, this means that you need to uninstall. For those of you who are on 2018, it doesn't really impact you. Obviously, if you're going to upgrade to 2018, you're going to uninstall 2015 or 2011 or whatever version you're on to get up to the latest and greatest. And to make it official, you can go out to customer source and look that SQL 2017 is actually listed out under the documents that are out there. So whether you go to customer source or partner source, if someone's asking you, hey, what versions of SQL do we support, the document is updated to say that we now support SQL 2017. All right, so the big thing that we've talked about, and we'll actually get into a little more detail of this if you haven't heard it before, is around Microsoft technologies. Microsoft has invested a lot in these technologies that help people interact with their data. We'll talk about Power BI in a little bit. We'll talk about Power Apps. But the one that we're going to talk about right now is one called Flow. And again, we'll touch on this again, but the idea of a flow is a way to get notified that something's happening in your SL database. Now, how do we get that today? Well, usually we're used to maybe a communicator message or just having to log in and run a report to find out what's going on in the system. The idea of flow is it's a process that can connect to your SL database, but you don't need to be logged into SL, because what it will do is it will automatically send you an email at certain intervals to let you know something has changed. So what are those examples? One, we've created a flow that you can deploy that lets you know when an account has been created. So Jeff logged into the system, he has access rights, he went into the account screen, he entered a new account and saved it. The next time this flow runs, it will go ahead and notify whoever you determine to let you know that, hey, there's been a new account created in the system. Next, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but one of the features of SL 2018 is the approvals. So we've added the ability to notify you to let you know that there's a batch out there that needs approval. So again, letting people know that there are batches out there so the approvers can run this, see that, and then log in and take action on that. The next, a customer's balance is over a certain amount. So we put in X because you can, with this flow, you can set it to whatever value you want. So what this means is that I've got certain customers, I want to know when the customer balance is over $10,000. I want to get notified sooner rather than later so I can go take action on that and go ahead and look at it. So that's a nice one to do. Again, I put in X there because you can change the value. We might have shipped with 5,000, but you could change it to whatever value you want. Similar to the accounts, let us know when there are new customers created. Let me know when a new inventory item is created. Notify me when there are customers that have past due payments. So their payments are past due, excuse me. So let me know when they are past due. We've got some items that are out there that customers are supposed to have paid us. We are past due. A project has been created, the project is over budget, and the vendor balance is over a certain balance. Now that's a lot of them, okay? And the reason why is, well, because I love these flows and I want you as customers to start using them, because the nice thing about flow is, great, you might pull it up and say, yeah, okay, I see what you're notifying me with the accounts created and customer created, but I really need to know when a service call is created. No problem. Flows are very, very customizable and they're very editable, and you can speak with your team here at SIS to understand it. It's something that you can do on your own, but most definitely working with your SIS partner, they have the knowledge of where you need to connect and what you need to know about. But the idea is I wanted to give you as many examples as possible so that you see the value add in Flow, because I can sit here and tell you how great Flow is, but if I don't show you and you can't download it and feel it and touch it and go, oh yeah, that was a good benefit, then you're not going to start using it. So again, we tried to touch some of the key areas, obviously payables, receivables, projects, some of the big areas in SL. So we've got a bunch of them out there that we want you to be able to look at. So how do they look? Well, this is just a couple examples that I've got out there. If you are getting notified about the customer IDs, it's going to show you the customer ID, the name. I actually had to blank them out because I forgot. In my test case, I had some funny names, so I blanked them out. But you would generally see the ID of the customer, the name, the customer class, and create date. And here's a perfect example. You might say, Jeff, but you know what's a really important field for me is, you know, the account that was set up, or the class, you know, something outside of these fields here. So completely customizable, looks great. We send you the email. We give you the attachment of the details of the information in case you need to see it and you'd like to have it in Excel. We also gave you a little link right here. If you are logged into your on-premise system and you can log into SL, you can go ahead and click on this link right here that's in blue. It'll automatically, if you have access, open up Dynamics SL, log you in, and then take you right to the screen so you can start looking at these new customers. So that's the thing I love about it. Again, I can get this out on the road. I can tell it what I want to display on the email. I can tell it what I want it to attach to the report as well. Wonderful, wonderful options. Other items example, here's a new inventory item that's been added. Here are the past due AR documents for a specific item that's out here, so I can look at the customer ID and his name and information, key information. And then here are the batches and references and documents that are sitting out there. Again, this is what we ship out of the box. Can completely customize as you need. And then again, here's vendors that are overbalanced. The vendor ID, name, and here's the balance. So completely customizable, something that we definitely want you to look into, because this takes the information to where you want it. You want to be able to be notified, not just when you're sitting in the office, if you're traveling, or if you're at home, or if you are wherever you happen to be, even if you work in the office, getting these notifications and knowing in your busy day and not having to log in and search for this information is always a benefit to all of us. So the big question I usually get is, Jeff, this is great, but where are these flows located and how can I start working on them? So obviously this comes with our SL 2018 CU1 implementation. So you will have to connect with your SIS partner to get a copy of SL 2018 CU1 so you can get a copy of these. Now obviously we're writing these flows to work with SL 2018. Don't tell anybody I said this, but this actually can also run on 2015 as well. Again, that's just between you and I. Flows can work on 2018 or 2015. Obviously, we're developing to take advantage of 2018 features, but these particular flows, they can work anywhere. So the flow folder, go ahead and open it up. You're going to see a bunch of zip files. These are all the different things that we were just talking about. And it's nice. We deliver them in a zip file. You don't need to worry about what's inside them. Just know that they are sitting out there. And what happens is you will sign up for a Flow account. Now, Flow can, depending on what it is, will be free. It will allow you to go ahead and start pulling and importing information. So you do need to have a Flow account. If you're using D365, more than likely you're going to have access to this. But if not, go ahead and speak to your admin or speak to SIS about what do we need to do to get set up to start using Flow. So you will log into the system. You will have the ability to import a package, and then you'll hit the upload button. When you click on upload, it's going to let you search, and we're going to search for those zip files that we just talked about. So we would search and we would use the browse feature to find them. And once we find it, we're going to pick up this one, account created.zip, and click upload. And what it does is it's going to go ahead and start uploading this flow into our own personal account. So the nice thing about flows is I can create one that I really like, and then I can share it with you, and then you can take it and bring it in. So here as we have it, it'll go ahead and start creating the flow. And then it's going to say, you know what, there's some things that I need to know about. What is the name of the SL database? You can see that when we create these on SL demo databases, and we have some generic logins that we use to create the notifications and make sure that they're working. But what it's going to ask you is during the import, let me know what we need to change those values to, because we know in red, these values don't exist where you are. These IDs don't exist, so let us know what we need to do with it. So when it comes into the system, it's going to ask you to choose, select. In this case, I can choose, I've got a SQL Server version 2018A connection that I've already set up there, so I would select that. And then when I've selected, and I'll put my email address into here, and I click on import, it'll go ahead and start importing it and bring that flow into the system. So I talk about the fact that these are completely customizable. Once you have it imported, you can do whatever you want with it. There's no restrictions like you have to use it the way that we created it here. And so what I want to do is take a few minutes here with the time I have with you is to walk you through how the flows work and how you can change them. So the first thing you're going to see is a recurrence. How often do you want to get notified by these things? A day is probably going to be the default for you, but if you need to change that to a different one, you can. Secondly, who needs to get the email? Basically, it says who are those important people in this particular case that needs to get the email. You put their email address, or you can put multiples if you like email addresses in. This is going to tell you how far in the past you want us to look to see if anything that's happened. The idea is if you're running it daily, then I want you to look back one day and see what's changed in that past day. Make sense? This is some time zone conversion because flow is generically hitting in Greenwich Mean Time, so you basically need to adjust it to where you're at. We're on the East Coast most times, so we've adjusted to the East Coast, but you can change that if you're in Central or in Pacific. You can change that as well as to when you want it to happen. And then what we're telling it to do is go get the account table. So in SL, all of our accounts are stored in a table called account. And then we want to basically say if they've created an account that's been made in the last day, which we talked about, and then we want to go ahead and grab that information, and this is just some fancy formatting to make it look pretty. But after it gets that, then we want to take it and create a table, which is that nice, beautiful looking table, put it into an email, and go ahead and send it. And then here's the output. So here's what it's going to send it to that specific person. Here's the text that will be in the subject. Here's what it's going to say. Blank attached below is a list of accounts. And here's the time and they ran, here's the output, and here's the link to run the actual email. So these are completely customizable. If you like what you see, you can take them, save it as your own, create a different connection to a different table. Just because this one's for account doesn't mean you can't edit to another account. Let's say your sub-accounts are very important to you. Or you input the name of the table, it can keep track of those information and notify you when things happen. So then again, here's our example of what it comes through as. Account number, here's my description, here's the class ID, the date it was created, and this is how it would come across. So again, just a quick example to show you that. Again, between you and me and just you and me, know that these flows are some things, if you're on 2015 today, you can start taking advantage of. But obviously, we're building them to work with SL 2018 and any new features we have as well. All right. Thanks for the flow, Jeff. Tell me about some new features in SL. As I talked about, we wanted to add a lot more features, but it became more of a technical. But let's tell you about some great ones that are out there. For the first time in ever, I can tell you, we can now set a vendor to inactive. This is not a mock-up. This is not a screenshot that I've messed around with. This is real. You can set a vendor to inactive, and you can also set them back to active as soon as you need them. So FabricHams being a real problem, I don't want anybody to start creating any more POs or entries. I don't want to pay them. Set them to inactive. They come back, they're in my better graces, set them back to active. You have that full capability now. What does that mean? Well, at the generic level, that means no new purchase orders. You can't put a new purchase order because the PV list for vendors will not show them anymore. In accounts payable, there are no new vouchers and adjustment entries that can be entered, and no checks can be created if they are inactive. So it's really, really shutting them off. What's the difference? Obviously, when they're inactive, this means that they are no longer available in the PV lists that are out there. Now, when I am changing a vendor, trying to set them to inactive, you have two different things that could happen. You could get a warning. For example, in this case, you have 5 purchase orders that are sitting out there that if you make them inactive, they will potentially go forward, but you're never going to be able to pay them. That's not a good thing. We want you to know about it, but we're not going to stop you in this case. This case, it's just a warning. We're going to set you to inactive. You know that there are 5 out there that possibly will never be able to be paid. So there we go. Now, there's certain situations where we say we can't make them inactive. What do you mean? Well, in this case, we've got vendors associated with 5 active project subcontracts. So they've been associated to them. If you do that, it's really going to kind of mess you up. Or in the case of an inventory, this vendor has been set up as a primary vendor for an inventory item. If you turn them off, you're not going to be able to order for them and you're going to have problems. How do you fix it? Obviously, in these 2 particular cases, you go into the screens where you assigned them and remove them and add a different vendor or just take that out completely. So again, there's 2 situations. Warnings, we're going to let you set them inactive, but we want you to know that you might want to go take a look at this. And inactive. And the great thing about this is just because it's inactive right now, if I get my warning and I go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. You're right. I need to make them active. No problem. Just set them back to active and you're ready to roll. What does this impact? Oh, just a few screens. Every single one of these screens were updated to understand the idea of inactives. And then you will, so these are a lot of places. Obviously, it's not a small change, but it's something that we're really excited about. And, along with having customers that are inactive, which we've always had for a while, now we can say the same thing for vendors as well. Again, a reason right there to go to CU1 personally, but I'm glad to have that. Some other enhancements. One of the big enhancements around the people for projects is that in the journal transaction screen, we've always had a feature here in the last, since 2015, at least, if not a little bit earlier. We added the ability to take and correct any transactions in the journal transaction screen. So I'm in the journal transaction screen. I put everything in. I accidentally put them all to the wrong account. Well, we have the ability to come in, open up that batch, and do a reversing of it. So basically, it's the exact same thing with the reversals. It gets rid of everything. So the end result of that batch being released is that the end result net is nothing's happened. It's removed everything out. You can also do correcting and reverses and correcting. So it creates two batches. One that's a complete reversal that you can just release, and one is a correcting batch that is a copy of the original that allows you to make some edits and move forward. And then lastly, you can also copy as well. Well, again, hopefully that's not new. In case, I'm glad you were here to hear it. Now, one of the things that was always out there is when projects were involved, there was an issue with the unit values. Now, the unit values, the positive and negative values, the way that the financial modules use the units versus the way that project uses them are a little bit different. So, for example, you would put it in and it would accidentally take your modules and remove values or add values where it should have added values or removed values. So basically the opposite was happening. So when you ran financial transaction transfer, it was debiting, crediting things incorrectly, so your project was off, and you'd have to go make adjusting entries in your project to fix it. Now you don't need to worry about it. If it is handling it properly, so when you do that reverse or that reverse and correct, it is changing those values from positive to negative correctly. Web apps time, there's been some enhancements made to the web apps time. One is obviously, it now says web apps times. It used to say Project Flex time, which is an old feature out of 2011 or 2015. It now says the proper name, and we also have some new functionality around in the web apps, and we won't go to too much detail now, around being able to display customer, project, and task information inside of web apps properly. In the past, you either had to display the customer ID or the customer name. Now you can actually display both. So you have that capability, which you did not have in the past. Another common request I had is with the web apps and with people going online and putting in their receipts, a lot of times you might get it to the approval and someone just quickly goes and says, yeah, I put my expenses in, please just approve it. They approve it, and then it comes to the accounting side and they go, hey, there are no receipts in this thing. And then the person goes, oh yeah, sorry about that. And they send you the receipts and say, can you go ahead and add them? Now, in certain statuses, yes, you could in the past, but what we've done is we've gone in and changed the code to say, leave these icons open. So whether I have a receipt, I have an attachment already or not, I can now add new attachments, which is the goal. The goal is that we want you to be able to add them at any time and not be restricted based on the status. So now that is possible here in CU1. We've also made some enhancements. If you've ever used the homepage feature, one of the big changes that we did is we've added the change to the homepage, so now it supports more modern web pages. What does that mean? Well, that means, for example, here, I could have a customer source or partner source load up for me inside of SL and interact with it. If you were running on older versions, you get these weird error messages that you couldn't run it, or there's error, incompatible, or an error message has happened. Do you still want to load the page? So what we've done is we've changed the underlying code to let it run on more of a modern interface, so it'll go ahead and display that. Year end. Well, 2018 CU1 includes all your year-end updates. So if you happen to be doing CU1 here in the next several days, know that you already have the year-end updates in there for 1099s and W-2s. So 1099s, so accommodating the filing box 7, being able to print all boxes, only box 7s, or all boxes but box 7. Those are all available. Adding the W-2s, adding the box GGs, and box 12 codes GG and HH are available to you now. And this brings me to an important point because I've got many questions on this. So if you're an SL 2018 CU1, the year-end updates are included in the release. If you're on 2018 or 2015, the year-end updates are available to you now, so you can go out to customer source or partner source or contact SIS to get that. The one that I forgot to add, because I actually just got a question on it, how about the tax updates? The tax updates, the note today is the 18th of December, 2018. The tax updates, the states are fast and furious putting in changes. We're making a cutoff today, and then we are going to put out what we've gotten so far, and they should be there by the end of the week is the goal. Again, technically could slip to early next week, but right now the goal is that we will have them available for you to download and import by the end of this week. And then, well, Jeff, what about those states that don't get them in time? No problem. Those will be made next month, just as we do, the normal process. So any states that are coming late, and gosh, it's amazing that they are late, but any of those that don't make it to here will be available to be downloaded here in the next month. All right, well, actually, I'm sorry, I forgot. That's exactly what that says right there. All right, so that gives you kind of what we've done with SL 2018. It's not a small feat. A lot of things were added here, a lot of things as well. And so let's go back into what you should be thinking about if you're not on 2018 already. And that's one thing we talk about is where are you in your life cycle? Where are you in this version list? So if you are an SL7, and I know there are still people out there on this, what does this mean to me? Well, this means that you no longer can contact Microsoft support and get support for any questions that you have on SL7. Even if it's just a question on how to use it, you generally will not be able to get connected with a support agent if you're an SL7. I'm on 2011, Jeff. What does this mean? Well, this means you can get support and ask questions on how it works, but you cannot get hot fixes. So you can't say, oh, I found an issue from SL 2011, because, you know, granted, that's like 7 years ago. You can't report an issue and have it fixed. There are no year-end updates. So in SL 2011, these year-end updates that I talked about, you notice they were only for 2015 and 2018 because those are the products that are still in mainstream support. So a good thing to note, if you're in 2011 and you need those, you're going to have to talk to your SIS person to find those people who have created any year-end any year-end updates for that version. Again, extended support for this product goes through 2021, where it will then move into support ended. All right, I'm on 2015, Jeff. Give me the news. I'm good. I can get hot fixes and year-end updates. Generally, hot fixes are not being made, but again, they are still available if you get a situation that is dire enough that we need to address it. Obviously, right now, we're focused on having 2018 and addressing any hot fixes there. So can you request them? Yes, but it's going to be a little bit harder than putting them for 2018 where, you know, if it's 2018, we want to address them right away. 2015, you're getting towards the end of mainstream support. So those items will be reviewed, and there's possibility, but again, that's why I want you to move up to 2018, so if you have any hotfix requests, you can get them. How do we do with mainstream support? How long does that go? That goes through 2020, so we're only going to be just less than a year, almost, here in the next month or so. So definitely a reason to start working with SIS now to start planning out your update to 2018. Extended goes through 2025, mainstream for 2018 goes through 2023, and extended through 2028. So again, find yourself on the chart, speak to your SIS person, and talk about when you are going to plan your upgrade in the coming year. So SL 2018 did come out back in May, and we talked about the fact that we've already released here in November, we released our first cumulative update. And the goal is to have our second cumulative update come out in generally the spring time frame of 2019. This is different than usual because we are actually adding new features to these cumulative updates. Generally, a cumulative update usually is, oh, we're just going to put all the hotfixes together and give them to you. We have done it differently. We wanted to be more, the ability more agile to adjust to changes and so forth. And you can see with the first CU1, we had to make some adjustments because of some security items. So same idea, we want to be flexible. And the idea is that we'll be coming out with another one, a CU coming in the 2019 timeframe as well. So that's the things there. What are the general areas that we're going to be focusing on? Obviously, I've shown you some of the live stuff that's already in there. Just to kind of take it back a step, what are the areas we're focusing on? The quick query feature is very popular feature in 2015 and continues to be added on here in 2018. So we're focusing on continuing to add more quick queries. Approvals, we'll talk about that in just a few minutes or about 5 minutes. You can actually do approvals in some key SL screens. We've done the first one with 2018, and the idea is that we'll continue to look into adding it in other places. We got some great feedback and some enhancements were made in 2018 CU1 based on some great feedback, so we're excited to see those get out there as well. Web apps. If you haven't heard of web apps, that is the remote way to access Microsoft Dynamics SL. It is on basically a monthly release cycle. We continue to add new feature functionality as people request it, and it makes sense for the general public to use. Continuing to optimize financials. You can see already we've gone ahead and added vendor and the ability to go ahead and and set vendors to inactive. We've gone ahead and add the ability to update the general ledger side to make sure its interaction with projects are good on reversing's. So we'll continue to optimize areas in that way. Project features, you saw just a couple. We've added the ability to enhance some of the setup screens, but also to add the ability to attach items no matter the status of the expense reports. And then the last is the Power Suite evolution. I talked a lot about Flow already, but let's kind of go back and talk about 3 areas: Power BI, Power Apps, and Flow, and why I see these to be even more, almost just as important as the new features, if not more than what I'm talking, because these are features that are going to allow you to change the way you do work at your company, which to me is hugely, hugely important. So the first one I want to talk about is Power BI. But Power BI basically is a way to add business intelligence really to any data that you have. What we're showing you here is a screenshot of being able to run Power BI on any device. I'm running it on my tablet, on my smartphone, on my desktop, and it's giving me insight into the information in my data. It's being able to give me visuals, graphics that I can interact with and kind of get the details on what's going on. So this can be run, obviously, we talk about the fact that this can be run to connect to your Dynamics SL database. Well, of course, Jeff, we would expect that. And it can, and we'll show you that here in a second, but this is also can be connected to really anything. Do you have a third party or other product that has legacy data in it that stores it in Excel, just as an example? Well, you know what? You can take that information, make it available, and connect Power BI to that Excel document to make it available for people to look at, interact with, look for the warning signs, set up your warnings about things that are happening inside of your data. So if you haven't worked with SL and Power BI, we've created 2 things. One, we've created a document, which you can get with SL 2018 CU1, or in fact, you can actually get it with 2015 CU1 as well. And it will walk you through the basics of, hey, I just want to know how do I get Power BI and how do I connect it to my SL database. So a great document for that, which would be great, but in my opinion, you're not going to use it unless I show you value add. And that's where we come in our dashboard. So we've created 4 different dashboards, or 3 different dashboards, excuse me, that allows me to show you what you can do with Power BI. So this particular Power BI dashboard, it is showing me 3 different things. Oops. It is showing me the ability to view at labor and expenses that are going against a project. I can see the gross margin of a project and look at the current month versus the previous month and see that our gross margin is increasing, which is a good thing to see. I can also look at revenue, labor, and expenses by project managers and drill down to the details. In this case, I've drilled down to for a specific project employee or project resource and looked at how they're doing per month based on the projects that they're working on. And they're doing pretty well, if it looks like there. So this is some great information to see month to date. I can also slice it and dice it. I can turn off all these and see it for all the data in the database. I can get specific by year or get specific and show a couple different periods. And again, being able to choose what I want to see on the screen. Now we have that same exact report for inception to date versus month to date. So that previous one was showing you look at last month, look at this month, and show me. This one's going ahead and showing me for the entire inception of and to date of that project, the entire length of the project. And lastly, but of course not least, is the ability to look at the top and the bottom items. Why do we do this? Well, if I've got a project that's doing really well, it's doing quite well in the sense that it's making me money, I definitely want to know who those are. So I'm making sure that we're getting the resources to them to continue to do so. And if I've got ones that are not doing so well, I want to know what those are so I can go ahead and take action on them. So those were the bottom five projects and project managers. And it's got a million different ways. Okay, a million is wrong, but at least 15 or 20 here, ways that you can slice it. So you can put in project to date revenue, labor, expenses. I can click all three of these and have it overlay over top of them to see how things are going with revenue versus expense and labor, all at the same time. So very, very powerful report. Again, this is our example that we provide to you. We are working on some new ones, some standard financial ones that will come out more than likely. I don't want to tie myself to it, but more than likely in CU2 that we're going to have up there as well. Again, showing you the value add. I do ask that you connect with SIS and talk to them about Power BI. Talk to them about how this solution can work for you and what your situation is. The next thing I want to talk about briefly is Power BI is a great way to visualize things, but what if I need to interact with that data? In the past, if I wanted to interact with my SL data, I would go to SIS and have them go ahead and develop a custom application that needs to be run inside of SL. But if you need a custom way to get to the data, more than likely you don't want to have to be an SL. Maybe it's access to inventory information, project information, customer, vendor information, and you just want to make it so that information is available to other people that are not inside of the SL world. So you have a sales manager or a person that needs that. So basically what this allows you to do is create your own application. So you can connect to your SL data. You on the screen, it's kind of WYSIWYG, or that's an old term. It's a way that you can build a screen, put the fields on the screen, and allow you to view the data, and then you can publish this out so other people can use it. Now, what could it be? It could be as simple that we're going to have a list of our customers because a person's always calling me, asking me for a vendor ID and vendor name and contacts. Well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple little app where they can look them up, click on it, and get that information without having to contact me. Or, you know what, a lot of people are asking about budgets around our projects or around our general ledger. I'm going to create a more robust version of this Power App and then make it available. So you can go from the very simple to the complex, and it is a tool that can be used by anyone. Flow, well, we kind of already talked about this, so I'm going to skip through this, but a couple things I want to make note of that I kind of skipped over the first two. Power BI, Power Apps, and Flow, they all come with pre-built templates that you can use. So obviously I'm showing you things that how to connect it to SL, but you have the example here. I want to have it automatically, I want to Flow to automatically get the weather and text it to me, or when someone updates my OneDrive, let me know what's going on. Or if a file gets copied here, I want someone to make a backup of it. There are things that are built into all three of these as templates that you definitely should look into as well. Obviously, I think the ones for us are great. I'm going to skip this one since we already have done a Flow. But again, options are out there to start using those as well. So pre-flows that I showed you today, what we had done in SL 2018's release is created a great combination of taking a Power App and a Flow and moving them together into one powerful tool. So let's take a look at what we did. The idea is I wanted to come up with a scenario that we could probably all wrap our heads around. I'm traveling or I'm in the office, but I want to be able to see customers and what they do, or what's due to us. I want to just be able to pull it up on my phone or my tablet and not have to log in. So I can be here, and I want to be able to, after I get the information, I want to be able to contact them. If I see that something doesn't look right, I want to be able to run an aging, and I want to get the results of that aging so I can view it no matter where I'm at. So that's what we've done. So we created two different versions of this Power App. So what you're looking at now is a Power App built for a phone in this case. Obviously you can tell because it's much narrower and shorter and smaller. And this could easily be run. I can come in here, I can see that I'm seeing the customer ID, the customer name, and the outstanding balance for each of the customers, no problem. Starting from highest and then scrolling down, it would show me all the different ones that are out there. I can even search for a specific customer name out there as well. Now, we also created this for a tablet. So here's the tablet version. The idea behind this is the tablet version allows me to quickly see what's going on here. I can see that here's the customer ID, name, and more information on my tablet than I could on my phone, which makes sense. You've got more real estate. But I can see the total amounts and then the breakout by days right here on the screen. Again, I can search and I can drill down to, just like I can do this on my other one as well, but this one I can actually show you the drill down. The drill down then takes me to that specific customer. I can see the breakout by company ID. As we all know, SL is known for its ability to multi-company. And I can see the breakout by each company and say, yep, here definitely they owe a lot here to CHS, not so much to CBS, but we can see that right here on the screen. We also have the ability to interact with the data that's on the screen. So if I wanted to email somebody, I could click on this icon. It would pass this email address to whatever I'm using for email on my device and pass that value. The same if I'm on a phone, it will pass the phone number as well. So then I can interact, say, why in the world do you owe us 408? Now, another scenario here is I look at the 408 and go, you know, I could have sworn we got a check for about 350,000 yesterday. I don't think this is right. Let's run an AR aging. So we can come into the AR aging, click on that button. It will pull up a screen where it allows us to choose the statement cycle we want to execute it for. And after I execute it, it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to do so? So right now I am running in a Power App that's running in the cloud that's connected to my data, but I'm running it on my phone or tablet, whatever I happen to have. When I click on that execute button, it is calling Flow, and what Flow is doing, it's going out and saying, oh, I see that you have requested that they run an AR aging. I'm going to give you the results of that AR aging and email it to you. So now I've got the results of the AR aging. I can pull it up and look at all the details. Again, as I said, this can be customized. We threw everything in there because we don't know what you want, but again, you can customize it, remove the things that aren't important, keep the things that are. And then we can interact with the data. So again, Power Apps, Power BI, Flow, all things that you can use today, all geared towards obviously adding feature functionality to 2018. Again, as a side note between you and I, you can interact with that stuff in 2015 as well. All right, so we've got a few minutes left. Let's kind of talk about what we've got in web apps. I'm going to skip through a couple here just because I'm noticing the time and I want to tell you about the other features of 2018. But just know that, again, web apps is your way to remotely access Dynamics SL. It access it through a web browser, so that means I can see it on my Apple, my Android device, and so forth. Lots of new features are added every month, and I'm going to skip through these. Again, if you happen to need a request on this, definitely reach out to SIS and talk to them about this. Obviously, a lot geared towards our project people because they used a lot of this functionality prior to web apps remotely. But the ability to set up a project, a person, set up their rates, being able to do time and expense entry, approve those items. We also have the ability to run reports. So if you have someone who's constantly asking you to run a report, web apps might be your solution, or running a quick query, or being able to do all these items. These things are all available here for you to be able to view and interact with. The next feature, I'll skip these just because of time. So know that there are a lot of new features that are out there, and then you can go ahead and view them right here through web apps. So let's talk about some of the other features that were added into the core 2018 product. I'm going to skip this because we kind of talked this. Again, new interface. I don't know why, but now the Dynamics logo is different, obviously, and now we're doing one-colored icons. Again, I can't tell you why, but I just report the news sometimes. Approvals, what has changed? One of the common requests here is that when people are doing their data entry, they want to break it up. So Jeff, I'll allow you in the voucher adjustment entry screen, but don't release the batches. Does that help? Does that work? Depends on the person. Jeff just wants to get his job done and get out the door. So he comes in, he starts doing all of his data entry. When he comes in here, he sees that there's this new thing called submit for approval. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that we've added and turned on a new feature that's available to set up approvals to require approvals to happen. So if Jeff ignores it and says, no, I just want to release it now or release it later, it's going to tell him, sorry, Jeff, you can't do that. The batch must be approved before it can be released. Oh, okay. So what do I need to do? I have to submit it for approval. Go up here and click on the finish button, and I've submitted it for approval. The batch is now in a W status. You might say, why isn't it submitted for approval S? Because S means suspended, and we don't like that word. So we are W. We are waiting to be approved or rejected. We're waiting. So now what happens is the approver gets that notification we talked about. They can come into the system, and they can choose to look at every single document one at a time and choose to approve or reject it or take no action. Possible, you can do that if you want to. I would particularly say, I would just do it at a header level where I can approve or reject the entire things. Of note, important note, as an approver, you have the ability to edit this. So if you just notice that there are 2 entries in the entire thing that are to the wrong accounts or sub-accounts or whatever happens to be, you can make that change, save it, and approve it. So you have that capability. Or if Jeff totally messed it up and everything is wrong, you can reject it and tell him, get on the stick, Jeff, come on. This is what you're supposed to have done. In this case, we'll choose approve. I can type in a reason why I'm approving it or let it default to a generic information. And now that I've approved it, it goes to the status of approved. And now Jeff can open it up and see now that he has his standard options to do a release now or release later. Everything is great. So again, that's available today in SL 2018 and also in 2018 CU1. How do I set it up for approval? Well, we have the capabilities. It is in the new screen called Approval Maintenance, located under the Foundation area, where I can say for the voucher adjustment entry screen, for all companies, I want to turn on the approval process, and the first group is anybody in the group called Approver Ones will be able to go ahead and approve, and secondly, I need someone called Web User 10 to be able to do the second approval. So I can set it up whether I want 1 level or 2 levels of approval. I can turn the whole thing on, turn it off, or I can get specific by company. So definitely check that out. Great feature. All right, one thing, the more things change, the more sometimes people want to go back to the way it used to be. In SL 2015, we added the capabilities that when you search for a field, it will search on a contains clause. Well, what does that mean, Jeff? That means when I search on ON in the word in the field name, it's going to show me anywhere where ON exists. So that's why phone companies, Jameson, Raymond, that's why those display. Well, some people, prior to 2015, we had a begins with clause. So when you typed T in, it would just bring back all the options that started with T. Well, we've added them both. So now in the screen highlighted in red, you have the ability to use contains or begins with. You can switch back and forth to your heart's desire, and you can also set it to default that Jeff wants him to always be contains or always be begins with, so you have that capability. For our printing of invoices, you have the ability now to take invoices, whether they're preliminary or whether they're final, and you can output them to a local directory, because maybe you want to keep track of them and store them and have a PDF of them. The benefit here is it's not going to ask you every time it prints to interact with it. It'll automatically pop it into that output folder, or I can put it onto a DocShare site for a manager or a DocShare site for a project. Now, the goal here is eventually that we will move this so that you can view this information remotely. So, for example, you used a DocShare site, that we can send you a notification through web apps that you can look at the items, click on a link, and open up and view the original documents to make sure you're okay with them before you move forward. So those are the items that are in 2018 that we added. What are some of the items that are potentially coming forward? Well, the first one that is being looked into is the release jail batches screen. This is a common request. Whenever I put my batches in, has anybody been the person that put it in for the year 2025? Well, I have. How about a screen where you can go in and look at the batches and see that he's made a mistake, go into initialize, put it into the proper period to post, release it, and have it update the appropriate information? Well, that's one item that we are currently looking into. We talked about it earlier, adding quick queries. We've got financial and project quick queries that are sitting in the queue that we'll be rolling out to allow you to have more insight into your data. The quick query and preview screen, which we already have for the invoices, we're looking into adding that into other areas. Also looking into the void and payment voucher process. Right now, to void a check and voucher, you have basically a 4 or 5 step process that you need to take. We're looking into making a process where it is a 1-step process that it still does those 5 processes, but it doesn't require Jeff to have to remember to do all 5 of them. Same, we're looking into the ability to remove the ability that you have to print out a zero check, that would go ahead and automatically and apply things without actually having to print out the check. And some other items around service to enable the ability to change the sites after you put it into the system, making that project maintenance end date actually mean something. In SL, this is strictly a informational only field, adding a feature that if you turn this on and it's past that date, we can do things like not allow people to put their time against it, expense against it, and other items. So exciting new items that are currently out there. Our roadmap, just as we've been showing you here, again, we're hitting the end of 2018. Right now, the schedule is to continue to add things in 2019. 1, potentially 2 CU releases. I'm going to say 2 right now that are going to happen in the 2019 timeframe, and then continuing on to continue to enhance their product by adding new features all next year, along with addressing any hotfixes that have come. So lots of things going on. Again, new schedules coming out in 2019. So if you definitely connect with your SIS people to understand what's going on with the product. And with that, I would like to bring Dan back in to see if we have any questions, but also to allow him to give you additional information for you as well. Dan?
Hey, Jeff, great job. Thank you for showing us everything that's coming up in SL 2018 and everything that just got released in CU1. Appreciate all of that information. We just have a few moments left. Looking at some questions, there was one that was submitted by Timothy back sometime way earlier in the discussion that just want to get through a couple questions here. Will this work similar with an on-prem version? I'm not exactly sure where we were in the presentation when that question was asked, but since the Dynamics SL is on-prem, I guess we'd have to say yes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it was anything around Flow or Power Apps or Power BI, yes. If that was the question, yes. Power Apps and Flow have a gateway that they install that allow you to connect from the cloud straight to your on-prem, so you don't need to be hosted to use them. That's hoping that answers your question. If not, shoot us another email or another note.
Okay. I have a question, Jeff. Maybe
Sure.
you can help. With CU1, sounds like they updated to TLS 1.2, and I've noticed with this TLS thing, seems to be that certain websites are sensitive to TLS versions, and it seems to be more on the backside that a lot of web servers aren't allowing clients that are like an old TLS 1.0 to even work. So did Microsoft do something like that to where not only did they allow 1.2, but they stopped allowing like 1.0 or something like that, so that old like Windows XP workstations no longer work, or does that, all the old stuff still work with Dynamics?
Dan, I do not know that off the top of my head. That's a really good question. I do not know that. I could ask for that if you want to shoot me an email with that, but I'm not sure. I know that we've got a lot of requests, and I think there are some manual ways to do it today with some other areas, but this is automatic out of the box. 1.2 will be set up for you.
Okay. Those are all the questions I think we have, so I just want to talk real quick. We do have a slide up here. Just want to make sure everybody is aware that if you are still on version SL 2011, you're not stuck for your year-end updates, we can sell them to you. Just call Debbie Peavy, and they're priced for under 100 employees, based upon 1099s basically, at $1,000, and if you have over 100, I would say 1099 recipients, not necessarily employees, $2,000, and call Debbie Peavy and we can get that to you. There are some changes required for 1099s, and from what Jeff just mentioned, there are some W2 changes, small ones, and we can help you with that. If you're on SL 2015 or 2018, you're in good shape. Also, I want to make sure everybody's aware about the wonderful Dynamics SL User Group Conference. Is going to be in Anaheim, California, coming up in April. I was just there just a few weeks ago, stayed in the hotel that we're going to be at, and the place is wonderful. I think we're going to have a great time. So make sure you carve out some time and try and attend, you and other team members at your company, to come and share time with us, Jeff, and everybody else who's involved with the Microsoft Dynamics SL product. It's a wonderful time, and it's a wonderful place. If you contact, if you go ahead and register for it and use that code right down there, it says DSLOG19SIS50C, you get $50 off your registration. So that's about all we have right now. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and we will continue to do these seminars, education series, and we will send out another email when we have another one scheduled. But I'm sure we're not going to have anything between now and the holidays, so everybody have a happy holidays, happy Christmas, happy New Year's, happy Hanukkah, and everything like that, and we'll catch you sometime in January. Thank you very much.